Hey everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Welcome to another episode of Understanding Bach's Fugue. I'm Marco, and today we will be discussing the fugue from the Prelude and Fugue number 11 in F major, BWV 856. This particular fugue is notable for its harmonic richness and the way Bach navigates through different keys, making it very worthwhile to listen and analyze. Despite its technical complexity, there's an inherent musicality and expressiveness that speaks to the listener on an emotional level. And by the way, before we begin talking about the fugue, if you find these types of content helpful and it's a resource for you, please consider subscribing and giving this video a thumbs up. A small appreciation can help us or motivate us move forward in creating more classical music content for everybody. Let's now discuss about the fugue. The subject of this fugue enters in the alto. It starts with an 8-note preparatory beat and moves in a stepwise manner in most parts. The answer, which is in tonal, takes place in the soprano while the counter subject is seen under it. The counter subject starts at the second 8th note of the subject. The bass makes its first appearance with the subject at measure 9 with the counter subject played by the treble. Afterwards, we see an episode that is derived from 16th notes figures of the counter subject. At measure 17 begins a counter exposition. For those who do not know, a counter exposition is an exposition following the initial exposition in which the voices enter in a different order than they did in the first exposition. In the beginning of this fugue, the subjects were introduced by this order, first by the alto, and then the soprano, and then the bass. Now let's go back to the fugue and see the order of its appearance in the counter exposition. We see the next following entries in this order. The subject in the treble with the counter subject divided to the alto and the bass. Answer in the alto with the counter subject played solely by the soprano. And the subject by the bass. This time the counter subject is also played by the treble in which the first 3 notes are inverted. The entrances started from the highest note to the lowest note, which is different from the order of the first entrances. Hence, we have a complete counter exposition. Just a measure after that, we see the first appearance of a stretto when the alto enters with the subject with the counter subject in the bass. This particular counter subject is incomplete. In measure 31 starts the second episode modulating from F major to D minor, and in this episode we can see figures that resembles the counter subject. This is accompanied with the free counterpoint in the bass. By this point of the fugue, we will see that the counter subject will no longer be present. The second stretto occurrence will start here with the entrance in the treble followed by the alto and the bass. This stretto is orderly because the entrances are from highest to lowest. They are all in the same key, which is in D minor, and they are all octaves in 2 measures distance. Now, there is another stretto occurrence afterwards, starting with the bass being followed by the alto and then the treble. It is like the previous stretto except from the fact that the entrances are from lowest to highest, and instead of D minor, they are all in G minor. But likewise, the other stretto, they are still in octaves in 2 measures distance. By measure 55, it closes to G minor, commencing the third episode. In this episode, you can see that it is built on similar material from the counter subject and is imitated by the voices successively. In measure 64, we see the entrance of the subject in the treble where the first note is shortened and the next measure ornamented. After which comes the closest stretto in this fugue, in which is also ornamented. It is the closest stretto occurrence in this fugue as it only comes in 1 bar's distance. The subject in the alto was not complete though, as it was unfinished by the 68th measure. Following it is the coda, ending the fugue with an F in unison. The uniformity of the two stretti shows Bach's genius in fugal writing. Even with the absence of the counter subject in the later parts of the fugue, its place was replaced by a wonderful counterpoint giving continuity and resolutions to the fugue. All of the episodes of this fugue were derived from the counter subject, which is expected from most of the Bach's fugues anyway. Let's now listen to the fugue with all the marks we put. That's it! I hope you learned a lot and enjoyed this analysis. See you on the next one.